Imagine a disease, misunderstood, misdiagnosed, and often mistaken for mere obesity. This is the story of lipedema. Lipedema, a fat disorder primarily affecting women, is a silent battle fought by many, recognized by few. It is a disease misunderstood by many as fat. Unlike obesity, lipedema is characterized by disproportionate fat accumulation in the hips, legs, and arms. Lipedema is believed to be hereditary and linked to hormones. Symptoms tend to start at puberty, during pregnancy, or menopause. This isn't just about weight gain that conventional weight loss methods like good diets and exercise can fix. This woman with the condition developed anorexia but still has lots of fat deposits in her hips and legs. This is about stubborn fat that refuses to budge, leading to persistent enlargement and sometimes pain and limb tenderness. The real kicker? It's frequently misdiagnosed as obesity. Imagine being told you're just overweight when in reality you're dealing with a disease that's resistant to traditional weight loss methods. The implications are vast and troubling. Misdiagnosis can lead to a progression of lipedema to a more severe form, lymphedema, and even obesity. The irony is palpable. Those with lipedema, misdiagnosed as obese, face weight bias and anti-fat stigma from the very same medical professionals who failed to accurately diagnose their condition. The judgment doesn't stop in the doctor's office. It seeps into every aspect of their lives, perpetuating a cycle of misunderstanding and stigmatization. This is not a simple weight issue. This is a health crisis. And this is Sarah Bramblette's story. Sarah's story sheds light on the unseen battle many face and the dire need for awareness, understanding, and accurate diagnosis. Her story is a testament to the resilience of those navigating the complex world of lipedema and a call to action for us all. As we delve into her journey, remember, this isn't just about weight. This is about health, dignity, and the fight for recognition. Sarah Bramblette, a name synonymous with the fight against lipedema, and a voice against weight bias and anti-fat stigma. Sarah's story is not just a tale of personal struggle, it's a rallying cry for change in how we perceive and treat obesity, especially when it's not simply about overeating or lack of exercise. From a very young age, Sarah battled with her weight. Imagine a second grader already weighing in at 125 pounds. A child who should be carefree and happy was instead burdened with a weight gain that seemed to have a mind of its own. As she grew, so did her weight. By the time she was ready to toss her graduation cap into the sky, she was carrying over 400 pounds on her frame. Sarah's struggle wasn't for lack of trying. The weight simply didn't respond to conventional methods. And it wasn't just about the physical burden. Imagine the emotional toll on a child who doesn't understand why her body is betraying her, who's subjected to the cruel taunts of her peers and the disapproving glances of adults. But the battle didn't end there. Sarah also faced a healthcare system ill-equipped to handle her condition, one that simply didn't provide the requisite support or understanding. She lacked access to structured guidance, to professionals who could help her navigate the complexities of her condition. Instead, she was left to fend for herself, to grapple with a disease that was often misdiagnosed as mere obesity. Sarah's journey is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. Despite the challenges, she refused to be defined by her condition. She chose to fight, to raise awareness about lipedema, and to advocate for those who, like her, have been misdiagnosed, misunderstood, and unfairly stigmatized. Sarah Bramblette, a name that echoes in the halls of health advocacy, reminding us all that every person deserves respect, understanding, and the right to proper health care. Sarah's weight was not just a number on a scale, it was a misunderstood disease. Sarah did not choose to be overweight. She was born with the disease to be fat. At age 7, Sarah tipped the scales at 125 pounds. She was just a child, yet her body was already fighting a battle she didn't understand. Lipedema, mistaken for obesity, had started to mark its territory on her body. The disproportionate fat accumulation in her legs, arms, and hips wasn't just weight gain. It was the start of a lifelong struggle. As Sarah grew older, she gained an average of 25 pounds a year. By the time she walked the stage at her high school graduation, she weighed a whopping 400+ pounds. Her body didn't stop there. It continued to accumulate fat that was resistant to diet and exercise, even up to life-threatening levels. But the world saw her through the lens of obesity, the medical fraternity labeling her as just another statistic in the growing obesity epidemic. Yet Sarah wasn't just overweight. She was living with a misdiagnosed disease. The weight gain that Sarah experienced wasn't due to a lack of self-control or an unhealthy lifestyle. It was due to a disease that was overlooked by the very professionals she trusted for help. The misdiagnosis of Sarah's condition led to a downward spiral. The undiagnosed lipedema progressed, leading to lymphedema and subsequent obesity. This wasn't just a case of weight gain, it was a systemic failure to recognize and address a progressive disease. Sarah was left to fight alone, her pleas for help drowned in the sea of weight bias and anti-fat stigma. The weight of misunderstanding that Sarah carried was heavier than the physical weight she bore. Tragically, her story is not unique. It's a shared narrative among 11% of women worldwide who live with lipedema, their struggle veiled behind the all-encompassing label of obesity. Sarah's story is a glaring example of the devastating effects of weight bias and anti-fat stigma in healthcare. The fight against obesity is not just about shedding pounds, it's about shedding prejudices and misconceptions. It's about understanding that every individual's story is different and every weight journey is unique. Obesity rates in America are skyrocketing, but is the blame solely on the individuals, or is there more to it? As we delve deeper into the issue, we find that the answer is not as straightforward as it might seem. We've seen a significant rise in obesity rates over the years. In fact, more than 2/3 of adults in the United States are considered overweight or obese. But it's not just a matter of personal responsibility or lack of willpower. There are systemic issues that contribute to this epidemic. One of the major factors is weight bias and anti-fat stigma. We live in a society where being overweight is often equated with laziness or lack of discipline. This bias isn't just prevalent in everyday interactions, but it also seeps into our healthcare system. Healthcare professionals, the very people we trust to help us with our health, can sometimes be the ones who perpetuate this stigma. This bias manifests in various ways. It can be as subtle as a disapproving look or as overt as inadequate medical equipment in hospitals. From waiting room chairs that are too small, to blood pressure cuffs that don't fit, to scales that can't accommodate higher weights. These instances of bias can discourage people from seeking the care they need. Furthermore, this weight bias and anti-fat stigma can lead to misdiagnoses, as in the case of lipedema. As we discussed earlier, this condition is often mistaken for obesity, leading to incorrect treatment and further health complications. Despite growing public awareness about the dangers of obesity, these biases and stigmas persist. They not only hinder individuals from seeking help, but also contribute to the continuous rise in obesity rates. It's a vicious cycle that needs to be broken. But how do we break this cycle? It starts with changing perceptions. It involves recognizing that obesity is a complex issue, influenced by a myriad of factors beyond individual control. It's about understanding that every person deserves respect and proper care, regardless of their weight. It's not just about losing weight, it's about changing perceptions. Only then can we hope to stem the rising tide of obesity. The healthcare system, a sanctuary for some, a battleground for others. Let's talk about the invisible barriers that exist within our healthcare facilities, creating a hostile environment for those battling obesity. Imagine walking into a doctor's office, only to find the scales cannot accommodate your weight. This is not just an embarrassing moment, it's a clear message that this space was not designed with you in mind. And it's not just scales. The lack of sitting provisions, larger gowns, and blood pressure equipment suitable for obese patients are all subtle yet potent signs of discrimination. This weight bias goes beyond just discomfort. It can actively discourage obese patients from seeking preventative care or early cancer screening. Fear of judgment, humiliation, or simply the physical discomfort of ill-fitting equipment can be enough to make someone think twice about scheduling that next appointment. And the consequences? They can be devastating. delayed diagnosis, worsening health conditions, and even increased mortality rates. And while the patient suffers, the disease continues its silent progression, unchecked and unchallenged. But it doesn't have to be this way. We can and must do better. It's time to rethink our approach, to design healthcare facilities that are inclusive and accommodating for all body types. Healthcare should not be a privilege for the few, but a right for the many. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the number on the scale. It's about health, well-being, and dignity. It's about treating every patient with the respect and compassion they deserve. It's time we stopped judging and started helping. Change starts with us, with you, with a willingness to challenge the status quo. It's time to address a matter that's often brushed under the rug: weight bias and anti-fat stigma. It's a silent epidemic that's as damaging, if not more, than the physical ailments themselves. We must realize that if our fat shaming worked, obesity rates would not continue to rise in America. The untold truth is that a significant number of overweight individuals resort to binge eating to find comfort from the daily humiliation, isolation, and emotional pain they experience from weight struggles. Imagine being in dire need of medical help, but instead of receiving care, you're met with judgment and discrimination. This is the reality for many obese individuals navigating through our healthcare system today. The bias is not always blatant, but it's there, lurking in the shadows, in the form of inadequate medical equipment, lack of accessibility provisions for obese patients, and the ridiculous categorization of healthcare services for obese persons as cosmetic care by certain insurance companies, even when the care they received has nothing to do with their weight. We must remember, healthcare is not a one-size-fits-all. It's about understanding and meeting the unique needs of every individual, regardless of their size. It's about treating the person, not just the disease. And it's certainly not about passing judgment, but about providing care, guidance, and respect. Healthcare providers play a crucial role in this narrative. It's imperative to foster an environment of empathy and understanding. It's about seeing beyond the physical appearance, beyond the numbers on the scale, and recognizing the human being in need of help. Society, too, has a significant part to play. Weight bias and anti-fat stigma are not just healthcare issues. They are societal issues. It's about changing our perception, challenging our biases, and embracing diversity in all its forms, including body size. Let's remember Sarah's story. Remember the struggles she faced, not just with her weight, but with a system that failed to acknowledge her needs. Let's ensure that no one else has to walk that path alone. Obese persons know they must lose weight to survive, but they need care to lose weight, not more judgment or discrimination. Remember, every step we take towards challenging weight bias and anti-fat stigma is a step towards a healthier, more inclusive society. It's time to challenge the status quo. It's time to change the narrative. It's time to dispel the stigma. If you've watched the video this far, first of all, thank you for watching. Remember to hit that like button at the bottom of this video and subscribe for more informative content. Comment and share this video. Your effort is highly valued and desired. The continued existence of this young channel literally depends on it. This won't cost you a dime, I assure you, but it will encourage YouTube to display our content to more viewers. If you'd like to explore the latest innovative, highly effective solutions to obesity and overweight, make sure to click that small video frame displayed on your screen right now. Until next time, stay motivated and stay tuned for our next insightful video.